We're rolling. We've
Okay,
got
well,
Bruce Cain here. Bruce Cain coming to you live from Detroit, Michigan. Bruce has
yep.
spent over 50 years researching this situation, and now we're going to specifically talk about the most up-to-date info about 5G, not only in Detroit, Michigan, but in the rest of the world. You've got a great perspective on everything, and we're going to try and keep this short, even though we can talk for days. And we're going to
I've got my timer going, so we'll keep it to 20 minutes.
Yeah, well, Bruce, just say what you need to say about this situation. I'm going to give you the floor, and It's over to you.
Basically, I've been studying 5G for maybe 1.5 years now. And then I worked with my city council to get a special session. And on July 23rd, they allowed a special session on 5G. And I gave a 40-minute presentation, which has been seen about 2,400 times now in the last month or so. And it's gotten a lot of, good positive view. And so at the same time, many other people in cities across America and Europe and Australia, wherever, they've been doing the same thing. They've been going before their city council. The issue to me is not just 5G, but 5G and smart meters. And so the smart meters have been deployed globally between 2008 and as of 2019, most of the world has smart meters. And I've tried to pose this whole thing in terms of health, privacy, and freedom. What most people don't know about smart meters is that they are surveilling you in real time over everything you're doing in your home. Every time you turn on a hairdryer or you open your refrigerator, everything you do, they're monitoring this in real time, and they're selling this data to third parties, the police, National Security Agency, we don't even know. The fact of the matter is, over the last 10 years, data is the new gold. The market for information is now a $2 trillion annual industry. And so what the utilities that are putting the smart meters have not told anybody is that they're selling your data to all these groups, maybe the local police, maybe the National Security Agency, who knows? And so these agencies are using this data to sell you stuff and, more look at everything you're doing. The other thing with smart meters is that it's all tied into this climate change hoax. And the background of the climate change hoax is that the Club of Rome did the limits of growth around 1970. And they've admitted, it's in one of my essays, and in fact, all my essays can be seen in my Facebook group. I sent you the link. Mm-hmm. It's called Bruce Cain's Articles on Stopping 5G and Smart Meters. And in one of these essays, 5G and smart meters are an existential threat to our health, privacy, and freedom. That was a 26-page essay. And in there you will find that the Club of Rome, who influenced the United Nations, they knew that climate change was a hoax, but they needed an excuse to take control of the world economy. So the smart meters are surveilling in real time everything you do in your house. Now, the climate change aspect of it, which they're not telling you either, is that eventually what they're going to do is they're going to charge you more money for your peak use of electricity. Why is this? Because with an analog meter, they only got one reading a month. So the granularity was one reading a month. With the smart meters, they're taking readings every 20 seconds. So if they decide between noon and 5 in the winter that they're going to charge you more for heating your house eventually, they're going to make you energy poor because they're going to restrict your use by making it exorbitant for you to heat your home. Same thing in the summer. Peak hours, you got your air conditioner, they're going to start charging you peak rates, and they're not telling us that. So the main point is that between 2008 and 2019, they rolled out the smart meters globally, right? Now with 5G, that started around 2018. And in 2019, we're actually seeing the deployment of smart meters. And in my last essay, what I did is I went through all the things. I kept going through, this city and that city, and all these reports about suddenly the 5G's going live. Suddenly, they just put a antenna 25 feet from my daughter's window, and I'm concerned about her health. But because of the FCC in 2018, they took away the right of cities to oppose putting up these antennas. And the same thing is happening in Canada. The same thing is happening in Australia. The same thing is happening in England. The same thing is happening throughout Europe. And you go, so now we're on 5G. And so you go, why is that? And it turns out that at the head of this whole thing is Crown Castle. Crown Castle is buying up all these antennas. And then the telecoms come under Crown Castle, which is owned by the Rothschilds. And then the telecoms are coming beneath them, and they've taken away our choice. The city of Dearborn Heights, there's nothing they can really do unless they want to face these huge fines. So they've just kind of caved in.
Can I just sorry, Bruce, I don't mean to cut you off, but can I just point out that's the same exact thing that they did with the Lima Declaration. We're not going to talk about the Lima Declaration right now. You're not going to go into it, but I would like to point out that that's exactly what's happening over here with the farmers, that the farmers are taxed if they grow their food here. So we're forced to export and then import, which is why it's so expensive to live here. And so we're being pulled by strings that are being synthetically manipulated.
Right.
You are just pointing out something that I have already seen not only in this topic that you're talking about, but also in agriculture and all the other survival necessities and that relate to us as humans, as individuals, as business owners, as people that eat food, for survival.
Well, in a broader perspective, what we're really seeing now is this confluence of things. We got the fourth industrial revolution. We've got 5G, which is the infrastructure for that. But more widely, what we really have is the end of choice. Okay? They're forcing people to get vaccines now. They're censoring what we read on the internet. Now they want to take vaping away, which I'm not into vaping myself, but if you want to vape, you should vape. And then you can go further back with cannabis, marijuana. I mean, everybody on the planet likes to grow and smoke marijuana, so why not let them? All the arguments for it have been just ridiculous. It doesn't. I've been smoking for 50 years. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
So the big thing in the wake of 9/11, which I'm one of the 50% of the population that does think it was an inside job.
I think there's more than 50%, Bruce.
Yeah, it wasn't bin Laden in a cave in Afghanistan.
No, it wasn't.
So the thing is the bigger thing that's going on is that they're trying to limit our choice. They're trying to nudge us in this certain direction.
Yeah.
So first we had the smart meters, and so now they're selling our data, which is a violation of our Fourth Amendment, because we should be secure in our homes, our castles. The utilities have no right to know when I'm watching TV. They have no right to know when I'm taking a shower. Mm-hmm. They have no right to know when I'm opening the refrigerator. Mm-hmm. But they've just kind of, we don't care anymore, fuck the precautionary principle. We're just going to do shit, and then people are thinking, well, like, how could they do that? And you're going, leaded gas, DES, female hormone that caused all sorts of problems, thalidomide, which they were giving to pregnant women, which caused massive defects, GMO foods. We just got the first lawsuits this year. These assholes have been screwing us for like ever, it's like,
what about the cures for cancer, radiation and chemotherapy? I mean, they don't even consider natural ways of healing yourself, which is what cancer is all about. It's just an imbalance of your pH. It's an imbalance that got there for foreign reasons and an imbalance for a reason. And there's ways to balance besides destroying your beautiful body,
Right. We're not having this open source discussion about what's best for the individual.
Yeah.
Everything is controlled. So the two main things are, we saw the rollout of smart meters, let's say between 2008 and 2019. That's pretty much complete. We need to get our analog meters back, so there's no way that they can get our personal information. Mm-hmm. That is a violation of our Fourth Amendment and our right to privacy. I started writing about this about 2018, and today people are aghast because they're going, they just put an antenna 15 feet from my daughter's window and I can't do anything about it. Yeah. I am upset.
Yeah.
This same scenario is happening and will continue to happen.
And Australia, it happened on my street last year. I had firsthand experience of the 5G tower not being removed completely, just being removed to the park up the road. So they're not caring about health and safety at all. And unfortunately, unlike Australia, I believe Australia is going to be the winners, the heroes here, because you guys are fighting back. People like you, Bruce, are pointing out what's wrong. People over here, they just said, we'll just move the tower. Just get it away from my street, off of my property, away from my daughter's window, but we'll just move it to the park. That's not the answer, because 5G still is here.
Well, the odd thing is that, like in Palm Springs, where Bill Gates and Trump have their homes, they've exempted them from putting up the antennas. Mm. In Brussels, which is one of the elitist cores, they're exempting them from putting up the antennas. Mm. Oh, but if you're anybody else around the world, you're going to get it. The thing that's going on, and what I've been telling people, like when I did my little 40-minute thing before the city council in July, so I've been telling people, man, that's the first step. We need to raise the consciousness. People need to go before the city councils. Mm-hmm. What we have now is a global movement. This isn't just happening in Michigan, not just happening in the United States. Mm-hmm. It's happening where you are in Australia. Mm-hmm. I just interviewed with a guy from Israel 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. We all have the same concerns. We want this to be stopped. Mm-hmm. For almost 100 years, we only thought that ionizing radiation was a problem. Gamma rays, X-rays. It's really only been in the last 20 years that we've started to really become conscious of the fact that even extremely low frequencies, ELFs, millimeter waves that are being used with 5G, we're finding these have all sorts of health effects, negative health effects, cancers, diabetes, elevated cortisol levels, just all sorts of crap. And so we are a global movement. Our nemesis, you know, these corporations, the United Nations and their Agenda 19, their Agenda 2030, they're all 100% and it's been treated like a fait accompli. In other words, it's been treated like this is going to happen. Ford wants to do the driverless cars.
Yeah.
But
just on that note, I had an interview just last week from somebody from Detroit, which I need to connect you with, but she said the same thing. The 5G system in Detroit, funnily enough, I'm just making the connection, is rolling out so quickly right now because Ford is there, because the automotive industry is there right in Detroit, and they want to see these driverless cars appear. So they're pushing for this agenda over there, and she's like, and she took photos, and she's like, it's happening, and it was a great conversation. And I didn't mean to cut you off, but before you go on, Bruce, can you just share a little bit about what Agenda 2019 is? Because I have not heard of that before, but you've said it now twice, and can you just share a little bit more?
Well, like we were discussing, I can't go into it deeply, but the UN was basically financed by the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds. They've been looking for global dominance for a very long time. And if you read my essay, 5G and smart meters are an existential threat to our health, privacy, and freedom. That's a 26-page document. I actually go into it, how the Club of Rome knew that climate change was a hoax, but it was a convenient hoax for eventual global domination. And so then they sold that to the United Nations, and the United Nations set up Agenda 19. And that was like Italy. It was these local, they wanted to get local control of city governments. And so now they've done this through, they're putting up the LiDAR lights. And in fact, they've done it in Dearborn already. They're putting up these 5G antennas. And you know, they're well on their way. But the point is that Agenda 19 was like local control. Agenda 2030, also from the UN, is about global control.
Okay.
And that's where we are right now.
Right.
And like I told you, I think that what is really going on at the top level is they know that there's going to be some bitter medicine coming down. They're out to completely transform the world economy. They want everybody to be controlled under this Chinese system of 5G. That's the infrastructure for the New World Order. And again, the United Nations is 100% behind it. But it's all a hoax. They know it's a hoax. But they don't care because they just want control. So like Canada, California, some of these places, they're instituting carbon taxes, which are extracting the wealth from the first world nations, not really to give it to the poor people in India and China or Africa, but to give it to the global corporations. It's really a system of global enslavement that I think that they're going towards. And like we discussed, I think what's going to happen is they want us locked down through this infrastructure. Then they may take away the guns. Then they may say, well, we're going to cut your Social Security, your Medicare, your Medicaid. and we got you locked down.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you going to do about it now? I think that's the direction it's going.
Oh.
So,
Bruce, you really actually, I just have to commend you. You know, I have spoken to so many people, and you have really succinctly put this into perspective in just such a short amount of time. And I didn't know about Agenda 19. I do know about ICLEI, though. I've seen what they're doing at the front line, and I had no idea that was Agenda 19. I knew about Agenda 21. I've known about Agenda 30. And now ICLEI is all about now, the here and now. And it's so funny that you say local, because that's exactly what this is. Somehow, this global organization has captured us locally, and we need to wake up to this because we no longer have a country of the free. It's now a global organization calling the shots to enslave us.
exactly. The only way we're going to defeat this is being very succinct about what we want. We want every 5G antenna removed, period. We're not looking for more studies. We're not looking for anything. That's what we want. And the second thing we want is we want all the smart meters to be replaced by analog meters. So there is no EMF radiation, there is no dirty electricity, and there is no more surveillance on our castles, which is a violation of the Fourth Amendment.